Can you hear me now? Oh, there it is. Okay. Hey, Jack Jack. Okay. So for whatever reason, it changed the output for my mic to some random device thing. I don't know what the hell that was about. Yeah, because after the stream yesterday, after I was working on the page for a while, my computer updated right before I turned it off. And the only thing I knew that changed when I was using it was that most of the apps I was using was trying to ask me if they wanted to link my location and all that, and I keep saying no. I'm like, no, there's no reason for that. So for whatever reason, it changed my microphone settings, so that's freaking stupid. Anyway, hello everybody. Sorry that you've been talking to me this whole time, and I've been like answering back and not realizing that you guys couldn't fucking hear me until somebody said something. I was like, oh well, shit. Yeah, it was just a setting that the computer changed for some idiotic reason. It's like there's like so much transpired within that short amount of time. I was like, well, do I recap what I was fucking saying? Okay, so the B-side thing, I know of the game, I just haven't watched any of it, so I need to watch a bit of it to see what that's all about and see if that would spark any future ideas for something. So there's that. For the Caitlyn not really putting much effort into losing weight, well, Lawrence is her longest friend, so he kind of enabled her bad habits. So that's why every time she would try to exercise, she kind of rebounds back into stuffing her face rather easily. If there's anything else that was mentioned, just bring it up and I'll try to answer that. But yeah, anyway, hi again, everybody. Sorry about all that. I was just like yammering, and someone says like, just so you know, we can't hear you. I'm like, what? Anyway, did that. Is there anything more that I was missing for this? I think we're good. Just gotta put in the... Oh yeah, I still gotta put in the filter. Copy. Oh yeah, I need to fix that one page. Let me do that right now before I forget. There it is. Is that how far I wanted it? Is that too much? It's kind of hard to tell. Let's see if I can do something about that. That's not helping. It's not helping either. Okay, it is where I want it. So let's just pre-save this and I'll upload it when I upload this page. Oh really? You found a interesting concept. Lawrence looks kind of cute and his frills up. Yeah. His frills get it when it goes up when he's like happy or excited. They were down when he showed up earlier because of Caitlyn's friends. Like he doesn't dislike her friends. He's just like kind of anxious around them. Thanks. Yeah, it's probably hard to watch this shit on the phone. Okay, so did all that, so all I need is the usual connections, or usual text. Copy. Waking prison, one of friends aren't. Oh yeah, I've seen that idea on BBW Chan. I think people don't realize that I literally go on that website every day. So I do see the comments everybody writes. Just to see if anything new's been asked or something. Because they know I go there, but I don't think they realize how often I go there. Okay, so let's double check. Blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. There's probably some typo or misspeak somewhere, and I'm probably looking over, but whatever. If it gets pointed out, then I'll fix it like I usually do. Alright. Export this. Page 20. Alright, so page 20 has been saved. Let me just save the file so that way I don't have to deal with that anymore. Okay, cool. I shared the pic in the media of sharing. I'll check it out after the stream. I usually look at everything on Discord, so no worries. I don't always comment on everything, but I usually see everything. It's a nice way to show you the field. Yeah, and again, I understand what they use the site for. It is what it is. So, all I can really do is just take advantage of the feedback and whatever else that transpires on the site that I can use. Alright, so done with this page. I will probably get started on the next one. So, you go forward, you go over here so I can keep track of what the hell I'm doing. Probably use this panel. Blah blah blah. Okay. Oh yeah, I should probably double check on the line art because I did notice that some of the line art wasn't black, and I was like, shit. Looks good. I think I fixed it from earlier. Okay, cool. Every time I hear that part of the song, I keep thinking of Rocko's Modern Life. Okay. Face. I think after this page I'll spend the rest of the week working on side stuff. And if I have time I'll work on another page. I don't need to get up whoever knows yet. Maybe. I haven't looked at anything Poppy Playtime related since kind of the second chapter, because I saw bits and pieces. Like, I saw all of the first part of it, the first chapter, and then I saw bits of the second chapter, but I probably should just watch a playthrough of, like, beginning to now. Because I only know some bits of the story here and there, and like some of the back lore, like some of the characters committed cannibalism and stuff like that. So I'll have to look into it more, because I definitely want to do like a short little animatic of what was it? The pig character basically ate their friends. So I would definitely love to do like an animatic of that using the voice clips from it. And then I know about the whole cult thing and all that, and like the cat character. So there's stuff I know about. I think I should just go back and just have a deep dive refresher on everything, because I do think the story is interesting. Well, the story is interesting because it's basically like, oh, let's turn people / orphans into toys, into organic toys. But then, like, you know, shit hits the fan when like all the toys go insane. And I always like dark, twisted stuff like that. I always find that fascinating and fun. Oh yeah, it's definitely creepy. Like, as much as I like scary games and horror games and all that, I have a hard time playing them, not because of like being afraid or anything. I just get super immersed into it that it'll make me anxious to want to play it. Like I have a hard time like getting into it in terms of like playing it, because I'm more interested in the story than actually playing it. But I would love to play it too, so that's like the conundrum. Yeah, if they did it right. I mean, again, I'd have to look at all the game to get the full feel of it. But if they could adapt it correctly, then yeah, go for it. I mean, why not at this point? There's been movies of practically everything else. Even horror versions of stuff you wouldn't think there would be a horror of. Like, I guess Popeye became public domain recently. So there's already like a horror movie based on Popeye in the works. And I'm just like, oh goody. I wonder how they're gonna fuck with that. Yeah, Animal Farm is pretty fucked up. Yeah, the Steamboat Willie horror. I find it more interesting on like a newcomer's stance, because it's like when you grow up with these characters and you see them being warped into like horror stuff, that's like almost nothing new, because you know artists have been doing that shit for years. So I'm interested in like for like people who like didn't really grow up with those characters, or at least not as much as you know people in like the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. It's like I wonder what their take on all this looks like, because it's like when you see like, because like even though like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie wasn't exactly like fantastic or anything, it's still something that exists now that that sometimes gets like shown around. So it just makes you wonder. It's kind of like how there's that one clip of the kid reacting to Shadow's cameo at the end of Sonic 2, and the kid says, "Is that Sonic EXE?" And I'm just sitting there shaking my head going like, good lord. And I'm just like, okay, so this is a kid who does not know about all this shit. And so it just makes me wonder about like other newcomers to this stuff. Because a lot of this stuff nowadays gets like turned into a meme and like manipulated in such weird ways, like the Spider-Man Elsa situation. So it just makes me wonder, because it's like, man, these kids are fucked. they get all this weird shit happening now. Or like how there was the Banana Splits horror movie, which wasn't too bad, honestly. It wasn't like super amazing, but it wasn't horrible. And from what I remember, that was supposed to be like the original script of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie before it got scrapped. And so they just used it for the Banana Splits. And then Willy's Wonderland wasn't bad either. I mean, especially with Nicolas Cage just being the silent protagonist, that was a great movie. I enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah, in terms of like the horror part and violence and stuff like that, the Banana Splits was definitely better. But I understand why Five Nights held back on that, which might be different for the second movie. But who knows? Because I know Scott Cawthon was paying attention to the feedback on it, so there might be some changes to the level of horror. But I doubt, because like the biggest problem, well, it's not really a problem, but like the biggest thing Five Nights falls into is being geared towards children, even if a lot of elements of the games aren't meant for children. Because like when you really think about the games and stuff like that, and the stuff that they sprinkled into the lore and all that, it's not really a kids series. But because kids got into it, you're just better off catering to the kids to a degree, because you're just gonna make more money that way. So I get it. It's a bit disappointing knowing that there could be more done to the series, but I understand where they're going with it and why they're going with it. I think the only thing bad about Willy's Wonderland was knowing that the haunted characters could basically leave if they wanted to. Like, there was nothing keeping them there. They only stayed just because they made a deal with the town. Yeah, it's the PG-13 thing. That's basically the only thing that is keeping Five Nights from going crazy. So, who knows if that will change in the second movie, because the second movie is already being worked on. But who knows if that will change to a degree, or like maybe as the movies progress, maybe the rating will change for the later movies. So like the first movie is just to kind of get you into it, and by the time you get to like, I don't know, like the third, fourth, or however many they decide to make, it'll be like rated R or something. Because it's not like changing the movie to rated R is going to keep kids from watching it, because parents have taken their kids to see Deadpool, and Deadpool has like a ton of sex jokes. So if you're fine taking your kid to shit like that, then I don't know what your problem would be if Five Nights at Freddy's was a rated R movie. I mean, people have taken their kids to see Megan and other rated R films, so I don't know about the argument of like, oh, kids shouldn't see this type of bullshit. It's like, well, I keep seeing kids at these movies, so I don't know what your argument is here anymore. Trick or Treat was fun. Like, you can make a horror movie PG-13 and not super violent, but like one of the issues I had with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was just that the animatronics didn't really get to do anything. They had like their one moment when those people broke into the restaurant, and then that was it. Like, the rest was just kind of like, okay, hey, they're all super chill. That was basically it. And not at all how they operate in the games. Or at least that's how, like, if you go off of Five Nights 2, they were kind of like that, the way they operate in the movie. But that was when the restaurant was still open. And like the animatronics were still chill with the kids, but then would glare at the adults. So if it was like going off of that, and like honestly, it almost feels like the first movie should have been when the restaurant was still open, and we got to see it spiral down. That probably would have been a better take. Honestly, when was the last 18 NC-17 rated movie? I have no idea. because the only time I've ever seen like NC-17 or not rated movies is if like something was like being ported or ported over or like brought over that's like a very very niche movie or something like the last ones that I saw that were not rated but they had them in theaters for like 1 or 2 days was Death Note and or like both Death Note movies and Gantz for me. Those were the only times I ever saw movies like that. And when they did bring those over, I was like, oh damn, they should do this more often. And they kind of did for a little while, but a lot of them were like really niche movies. And again, like people assume that the ratings, I mean they kind of do to a degree, but like the ratings decide how well the movie's going to do in some situations. And to some degree they're correct. It's like, okay, if this movie's rated this, that means you're going to have this kind of audience. But ultimately it's like, look, if you have a audience who's already into this shit, I mean, it's already bad enough that they bring their kids to see them, so you might as well just, you know, go make the movie you want to make, and whatever rating it gets, it's just a rating. It's just all it is. All a rating is a suggestion. It's just, hey, this movie has this in it. Proceed with caution. That's it. That's literally all a rating system's for. But I get it, because it's kind of like what happened with video games, where when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas had that hot coffee thing discovered inside the game, the rating of the game changed from M to AO, so adults only. And at least according to most retail stores back then, AO games are harder to sell. Which is weird, because it's literally the same bullshit that rated M games go through. Where it's like, you know, little Timmy wants to buy this rated M game. The cashier says, hey, parents, this game has blank in it. Are you sure? And they say, yeah, whatever, fuck it. Like, he's old enough. And then they buy it. And then they just bitch later when they find out, like, oh my god, this game had this in it. And it's like, yeah, we told you. So it's literally the same bullshit, just with a different rating. Alright, take care, Frost. Sorry if you already left. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Did not stick close to a horror story. Horror based. Yeah, I'd have to check out the original writing for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, because I know of it, I just never read any of the stories or saw the movie. I think I saw like one clip of it with the I think it's the Pale Woman or something like that, whatever her name is. I saw that and that was about it. So I know literally nothing of the series. Yeah. And again, like, kids will somehow get into all that because their friends are able to see it or experience it in some way. And that's usually how stuff that isn't meant for them gets popular. Because that's how Poppy's Playtime got popular. That's how Bendy and the Ink Machine got popular. And granted, Bendy and the Ink Machine isn't as violent compared to Poppy's Playtime, but still, it's the same nonsense. It's just, here's a popular game, kids are watching popular streamers play it, the kids get into it because they're watching streamers play it, that's how they're experiencing it, and then they want to get into it, so either they have money to buy the games or ask their parents for money to buy the games without the parents realizing what the hell they're getting into. They get into it, they start buying the merch or asking for the merch from their parents, and there you go. That's how you get to where we are now. For movies, the box office sales matter so much. Now to the point where it sounds like a death nail for the adult. Yeah. And like a lot of like obviously theaters is like you gotta really pick your battles when you're putting your movies out on a theater or in a theater. But nowadays you have streaming. So if you honestly think it's not gonna do well in theaters, just stream it. Do like a streaming service. Or if you're really ballsy, just give people the ability to buy the movie. And, if it gets pirated, then it gets pirated. I mean, that's just bound to happen regardless. I mean, it happens even in theaters. People record movies and post them online. So I would just say, cut the middleman and just post it online. Make your money. Honestly, it's probably better to do it that way. Because then not only will you get people buying it if they're interested, but you'll also get people reacting to it, so that'll boost up popularity to see if it's any good and stuff like that. And true, people could watch it through the reactors, so you're gonna have to make peace with that if it happens. But yeah, there are ways to go about it. You just have to kind of understand that the internet is the way it is, and bend a knee when you have to. Not saying it's a good thing that you have to do that, but you just have to take what you can't, take the L, or roll with it, roll with the punches. Yeah. But yeah, PG-13 is the sweet spot. It just sucks when a horror series or like a mature series could be better if it was rated higher. Like Spawn, for example, when they first announced the Spawn movie, it was rated R. Like when I first saw the trailers for that movie, it said it was rated R. It said it was going to be a rated R movie, blah 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 blah. And then I think like the day that I saw it, I saw that the rating was changed to PG-13. And I was this was me like when I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11, maybe 12. When the hell did that movie come out? Let's find out. Spawn movie. Came out in 97. So I wasn't even, I was 9 when that came out. So yeah, so I saw that movie when I was 9. And it was just actiony and not even that bloody compared to movies like The Terminator. So yeah, and by then like I had already seen like The Terminator and RoboCop. So my bar at that point had already been like, yeah, I understand the levels of violence here. Cuz I grew up with like, Terminator, RoboCop, Chucky, horror movies that were actually or even action movies that were, pretty damn violent. So expecting that from Spawn, only to realize that Spawn got watered down for the PG-13 rating. Because like this is me coming off of like the cartoon show, because I watched the cartoon because my mom would watch it with me just to make sure I was okay to watch it and all that. And sure, sometimes nudity scenes would come up and she would just tell me to turn around when that happened. And then when the scene was over, then I could look back. And like there have been times where she had like fallen asleep watching it with me, and those scenes would come up, and instinctually I would just turn around because that's what she would have wanted me to do, and that's what I did. But other than that, I was fine. And then later on, I bought the DVD box set of Spawn, so now I just have it all uncut along with Todd McFarlane's interview on how he got started in comics and all that. But yeah, like I already understood like the difference with like fantasy and reality, all that stuff, like level of violence, blah 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 blah. So at this point, to me, I'm just like, make what you want to make, whatever rating it gets, cool. And if parents want to take their kids, that's their decision. If they think their kid can't handle it, then their kid doesn't watch it, or they watch it through other means, like friends, because that's usually how it happens. Like, for me, my mom was like, no, you can't play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, or she wouldn't get it for me. But then my neighbor had it, so I played it anyway. So she did her job in trying to keep me from playing it, but I ended up experiencing it anyway, so didn't change anything. And even then, it wasn't even that big of a deal. I was like, oh, okay, it's literally the same game as Vice City. And then when I did see the hot coffee thing, it wasn't even that big of a deal because the characters weren't even naked. So this literally changed nothing. But I think by that point in time, I was just kind of like, whatever. I was all over the place. I was coming across like weight gain sites and shit like that. So. Meanwhile, I think God of War only got an R rating. Yeah, God of War is rated M, just because one, it's bloody, and two, you have those mini games where you fuck those women in bed to get extra experience points. And even then, you don't see anything because the camera cuts to a lamp or a vase or whatever that falls over once you climax. That's it. So, I mean, yeah, you saw their titties, but that was it. I was like, alright, tits. Like I hadn't seen that for the umpteenth time in rated R movies. Like, they showed that so often in movies, it was just nothing at that point. And which hand did I want? Put it in that end, just for the fuck of it, since her tits are out. But yeah, I just think people need to understand the environment when it comes to mature content and operate accordingly, not just gatekeep things, or what's the word phrase I'm thinking of? Not condemn things for being a certain rating, or because it's for a certain audience. Be like, you know, if all you're worried about is is whether or not kids are going to see it for whatever reason, be like, you know, again, like, kids go and see Deadpool despite it not being for kids. So I just leave that up to the parents at that point. God of War now is so lame now. I feel like the direction that they're going with God of War now should be labeled as like its own thing, rather than a continuation of the original story, because it's such a different vibe now that it should have been like its own continuity, because it's supposed to be a continuation of the original story from what I've been told. If not, then okay, that's fine, it's its own continuity. But if not, then I think they should have taken measures to just disconnect it, so that way it could do things on its own merit, so that way if they ever felt like returning to the classic style of how the game plays, there's no, like, disconnect. Shit, at this point I might as well just attempt to make a game or something, fuck. I keep saying shit, and I'm like, well, I can only apply that to what I know, so. And at this rate, I might as well attempt to make a game or some kind of visual thing, or like video-based thing myself. I do want to make a video thing, I just gotta make the assets for it. Although it'd have to be text-based, because I do not have voice actors unless I feel like using my own voice and changing the pitch to it. Come up with a hypothetical game. Well, yeah, I still have my card game stuff that I need to make some more cards. How many cards have I made so far for it? Not many, but I have a few. No, that's not the correct folder. So for the new set, there are currently 12 cards made, so I still gotta make another 42 before that set's ready. I don't even know how I made that card because the artwork got lost. Oh well. As long as I'm able to use it, that's all that matters. My favorite part. Oh yeah, the fucking cupcake. Well, like I said, if the game ever got popular and that card became a problem, then it'd probably get banned. Or the original would get banned and I'd make a remake of it. But until that happens, it's going to be legal until then. I don't like the way that. Okay, so should be holding the spoon like this. Okay. Hands will always be a bitch. It's like I get it, but I still hate it. I think that'll be like any artist's personal hell. Or at least most artists' personal hell. It'd just be drawing hands. It's like, welcome to hell, where you have to draw for eternity. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. Not so bad. But you have to draw hands. I'm like, damn it, no! But just kill me. Yeah, I do not like the way I'm doing that. So let's fix that. So let me start with the ice cream in her mouth. The spoon. Have a good night. Talk to you later. Make Caitlin a messy eater. They tried making it a live service? How the fuck do you make it a live service? Isn't it a single player game? What is there to make it a live service about? God damn it. I hope we're getting to the point where we're phasing that shit out, or at least understanding how to make it not shitty. Because we're already getting to the phase where it's like, hey, if we make the games people want, they'll buy it. It's like, wow. Like, we're getting to that phase, which is mind-blowing that we had to get to this phase to begin with, but here we are. Good that they canceled it, but I don't even know how the hell you were going to do that anyway. Oh, they're going to make a fifth one? Well, hopefully it doesn't suck. Because Sly Cooper as a series is great, but if people don't know how to fucking make the game anymore, that's a problem. It's like, man, people, they're like, man, guys, remember when we used to make games for fun? What happened to that? I think I remember the fourth ending. I won't say what it is just in case, but I think I remember what you're talking about. There's supposed to be a Spyro movie after the Legend series, but Activision bought the rights and made Skylander. Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that. Skylander wasn't awful, it's just they didn't have anything to jump off of, which is why Spyro was added into the game in the first place. Because it wasn't supposed to have Spyro in it. I mean, that's basically what happened with Crystal from Star Fox. She was supposed to have her own game, and instead they put in Fox to help it sell better. And then Disney Infinity, I don't know what the hell they were thinking for getting rid of that. That could have kept going. Luckily, I bought the Nick and Judy figures before they sold out of those. And it's funny because it was when Toys R Us was going out of business, so, or shutting down their stores at least, because it still exists as an online thing. But I bought the Nick and Judy figures, and then I came across the Five Nights at Freddy's figures, the original 5, and I was like, fuck it, I might as well get them since I'm here, and so I bought all of those. They were cheap too, because they were on like clearance or whatever the hell it was. They're like going out of business sale or whatever the hell it was called. Shutting down sale or something. But yeah, like, there are ways to do microtransactions and other stuff like that in a better way than trying to, like, force the audience to do it like the way some gacha games do it. There's a balance to it, it's just sometimes it can be annoying if not done right. Like, Brown Dust 2 does their game very, very well. Not only does it have a shit ton of fan service, really well done fan service, I might add, but you can pretty much get everything in the game for free if you know what you're doing. Because that's how the Marvel Avengers Alliance game was. Back when it was on Facebook. That game was great. That's why when I first heard that, oh, Square Enix is getting the rights to making a Marvel game, I was like, oh shit, are they just gonna make this game but better? And at first they were showing off that the game had the same items that the Facebook game had. And I was like, oh shit, and then I see what they put out for their trailer. And I was like, and it's shit. Like, immediately called that it was shit before the game even came out. Because, like, seriously, that Facebook game was fucking peak. Like, that Facebook game was technically a gacha game, but it was a really good gacha game, and you could get the stuff in that game for free if you really wanted to. And like, even though they had some like powerful weapons that you could buy, they were never required to play the game. Like, the only time you would probably have to care about those weapons is if they somehow became meta during the PvP battles. But other than that, it wasn't necessary. You know, it's funny because the tournament that they did, where if you're in like the top 1,000, you could unlock Deadpool 6 months early. I was in that top 1,000 and I got Deadpool early. I was like, yeah, bitches, because I used the meta weapons that were popular at the time. It's like, all right, I already have the weapons, might as well fucking use them. I think only because I know back then it was like only one of the weapons you would actually have to spend gold to get, because it was because basically in that game you used 2 of the heroes or villains in your team, and then the third character was always your character. So you always had to spend gold to get one of the weapons for your character, and then the other weapons you got just playing the events, and you can get those weapons for free. And then those weapons would tie you into the archetype of whatever special characters that were part of it. So like for example, if you had the Apocalypse weapons, they would tie into Iceman, who was Death, and Beast, who was Pestilence. And those 2 characters were fucking broken if you knew how to play the game right. Because Iceman had an ability where I think it was if your opponent's HP got to like 30% or something like that, he had a chance of insta-killing them. And then Beast had an ability where he just put a shit ton of dot damage on your opponent, so they could suffer from like being stunned, poisoned, burned. I think they had chill. They had chill damage, but it was from Iceman. And I think they had like some kind of side effect damage that you could. It was ridiculous. That game was great. I missed that game. Well, it's funny because when the Deadpool thing was done, like after it was like, okay, the top 1,000 people unlock Deadpool. After that tournament, or after that tournament passed, a lot of people were pissed off that they didn't get a chance to get Deadpool, and the devs didn't realize how many people actually played their game because it was a Facebook game. And so the next time they did a tournament, they upped the list to 10,000. So I was like, all right, top 10,000 can unlock the characters. Because like the whole point was that they basically had tournaments that allowed you to unlock the special character for free. Because later on, like 3 months later, the character would come back, but you would have to like spend gold to unlock them. So as long as you did good in the tournaments, you never had to pay for those characters. So I never had to pay for those characters because I was always in the top 10,000. So that shit was fun. Killer Instinct 2. Or if they ever make one, yeah. Of the newer version. Oh, one was going to be a zombie DLC? That would have been fun. I don't think I know of Let It Die. It sounds familiar, but I don't recall seeing it. Trying to get her arm right. There we go. But yeah, that Facebook Marvel game, Marvel Avengers Alliance, was so good. And it was showing off like a bunch of characters that you could play at. Like there were so many characters in that game. and different variants of characters. Like I still remember when Wolverine and Nightcrawler were trash characters before they got buffs, because back then you had to spend, because like it was an RPG type game, so you had to spend a turn for Wolverine to use his healing factor, and his claws didn't like do anything when he attacked. All they had was like piercing damage, so like they would ignore a percentage of defense and stuff like that. And Wolverine was just bad. And the same thing was for Nightcrawler. Like Nightcrawler just had like basic attacks, but that was about it. Like I think if you used his teleport, it just gave him a chance to avoid damage during the next attack, and that was it. So when they got buffed, because they got buffed in two ways. One, they got buffed just by their base. So like Wolverine's healing factor was a passive, and then they gave it so that when he used his claws, he could cause bleed damage on your opponent, as well as ignore percentage of defense. And then he later on got like a costume that let him like do preemptive attacks and stuff like that. And then with Nightcrawler, they gave his teleportation as a passive, so there was a chance that if he got attacked, he would just teleport away and avoid damage. And then they gave him the pirate costume, so not only when he attacked and did his like multi-hit attacks, he could cause bleed because he had a sword, but there would be chances where he would just automatically attack an opponent who had I think bleed damage already, and just make bleed damage trigger immediately, so it could cause more bleed damage. So I was like, man, this game is stupid fun. And it was fun for like 4 years, and it sucked when they shut it down. I was like, damn, this was a really good game. I played it every day. Suda 51. Oh, I might have heard of it then, because I've played some of Suda 51 games, mostly No More Heroes. Jack and Daxter was fun, but weird because of the whole elf villager who becomes a rogue. Yeah, Jack and Daxter kind of had a weird shift after the first game. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it was kind of like straying further and further from the playful art style that it had, or not art style, but like the playful theme that it had. I guess it was just trying to be edgy, because most games kind of did that back then, during that time. And then for that, but yeah, that Marvel game was really good. Like, Doctor Doom was so fucking fun to play with. He was interesting because he refuses to work with others, so he would have to be the only person on your team, but he would get two turns instead of one. And so if you used his, and he had like an ability where basically he would build up meter, and once he reached like 100%, you basically got to use his fucking death beam, and it was so fucking powerful. But he had like magic too, so he could cause like all these kind of status effects. He was just a fun character to play as. And then there was PvP in the game, but not in like you're playing against people live, but more of that that you would play teams that people would set up. So you would have like a away team for people to fight, and then you would fight other people's away teams. But it was really, really, really fun. And it just had like its own meta. So it'd be like, oh, okay, these are the teams that are really good right now. You should probably use them. I remember Mockingbird was so fucking broken before she got nerfed. Deadpool was kind of broken too until he got nerfed. But even when they got nerfed, it wasn't like to a, okay, these characters are unplayable type of thing. It was just, okay, this is more balanced. But yeah, that game was really, really, really fun. At least the fun part was, even when the game was shutting down, on the last day, or like last week or so, they were like, the developers were like, well, here's a bunch of concepts of what we were going to do. So they like showed off a bunch of characters that they had planned, and a bunch of villains that they had planned and stuff like that. And then And then the last character they put out was White Tiger. And they just said, we purposely made her broken since the game is shutting down anyway. So just have fun being broken as fuck. And so she would deal like tens of thousands of damage just because she could. And so she was just like stupid broken in that, and during the last days. So she was really, really, really fun. It was nice that the devs did that. It was just like, okay, cool. Like they said it sucked too because they were losing the license because of Square Enix. Well, back then we didn't know it was Square Enix. They just said they couldn't renew the license anymore. But it was definitely a fun game, the fun part is there are people who are trying to revive the game, and so far they've been making progress. Like they've gotten really, really, really far in redeveloping the game because basically all they're doing is just grabbing the assets of the game from back then and basically rebuilding the game from scratch. So right now I think they're on like version 5 or something of the game that they're working on. And once they're done, they're just going to put it out and be done with it. So I have a version of the game saved, but I'm just waiting for them to continue working on it. Let me make sure. So let me see. Marvel Avengers Alliance. Yeah, this is the game. There you go. There were so many characters in that game. I don't even know, like, I wonder if I could find the number. PvP, plot, blah blah blah. Let me see. How many characters? There were 666 characters you could play with in that game. Or not 600, 166, sorry. There are 166 characters you could play as in that game. Yeah, right? Like, it was really fucking good. It had really good music, really good storyline. It had really fun missions. Like, they would make missions in that game that were kind of like a puzzle. So, like, one of them was you played as Deadpool, and you were teamed up with a random soldier or a random Hydra member named Bob, which is his best friend in the comics. And you had to win the mission by preventing Bob from dying during the mission. So you just had to protect Bob, and Bob would attack on his own because he wasn't like a playable character for you to actually use. But he was part of the mission. It was really fun. That's why I love that game so much. I was like, damn, this is really fun. I remember when Rescue was fucking broken when she first got added to the game. Like, pretty much any character that got added to the game was just broken on release because they didn't know how good the character would actually be based on how the players use the characters. Because, you know, you can only do so much testing, but you're better off just letting the players do shit because they're going to figure out broken combos and stuff. So, like, with Rescue, she had an ability where she would give your team barriers, and when the barriers were destroyed or disappeared, your characters would be healed like a giant percentage of health. And she had a move that gave herself extra turns. So there was hardly any chance of your team not having a barrier and not being given a shit ton of health, because she would just stack very quickly. So your team was practically immortal. So I'd be using like her teamed up with Avengers Iron Man from the movie, from the, I think it was the second movie. It was either the second movie or the third movie. I want to say it was the third movie, because he had an armor that that let him summon different armors. So it was probably when the third movie came out. But or they just kind of gave him that ability to begin with. But teamed up with Iron Man, he had the ability where every once in a while he would just summon more armors to just attack your opponent's team randomly. And then you had your own team, your own character, who, if you gave him the Coulson gun, the Agent Coulson gun, it meant you were part of the Avengers team, and so it gave you a buff for being part of the Avengers. And then you just, gave yourself the, I think it was like the time accelerator or something like that. They gave your character an extra turn. So you just spend the first turn doing buffs, second turn, putting on like dot damage and stuff like that. Like, oh god, that game is so fucking good. See, this is why I like games like Arknights and all that, because games like that. Yeah, you take care. I'm gonna be streaming for like another 20 minutes, and then I'll call it. When I do, I'll post the new page on Dropbox. But yeah, you take care. Have a good day. So yeah, if I ever make a game, like let's just say hypothetically it was a gacha type game, I would just do something similar to Avengers, where it's not too focused on oh, you need this character to beat this thing. Just make them fun. If something's too busted or whatever, just fix it. And then yeah, God help me if I ever decided who was rare and who wasn't. Like if I made a game based on my characters and shit like that. Oh boy. It'd be like, oh my god, I want to unlock Skylar, but I can't because he's an X-ray character, and I need him for my Marcy team because he makes Marcy's he gives Marcy the fat buff, and without the fat buff I can't pass this, blah 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 blah. and if that game became like a PvP thing, oh my god. If I ever made a game like that and there was actually like PvP in there, at some point I want there to be a fat meta, because that has to be a thing. I mean, that's basically what it is in the card game, so I kind of already did it. I guess a card game is the only way I'm going to make this happen, since I don't know how to make video games. Yeah, we need the Fupa meta. Fuda passive. Oh yes, we need the chicks with dicks meta too. Actually, I don't think I need this. I'm just gonna put random ice cream bits. But yeah, I guess I'm doing that already with the card game, so if I can't do it with a video game, I'll do it as a card game. Yeah, I think card games are pretty much the closest I'm gonna get to making like actual games. Aside from like a visual novel that just plays itself type of thing. Since I don't know how to make games, or I know there's that one game engine where you can make visual novels. I have that, and I also have RPG Maker. I have no idea when I'd have the time to work on that stuff. Like, I guess the closest would be to just like pick a day and not do anything comic related, just so I could try to get something like that started. But for now, I guess card games are gonna have to fill that void until I can make that kind of time. Well, sumo wrestlers is not just body fat, it's also muscle. So you gotta understand how that works with how they do their diet and training. But if you're just going for like a pure looks thing, then either get a fat suit or put on some pounds and then, you know, wear the outfit. Good on this part. Oops. Save. I should move this so I don't get them confused. There we go. Can I cheat this? I could, but only by so much. You know what? Fuck it, I'll give it a shot. See if I can cheat this. There's still changes that I have to do though. But get me in the right direction. If you want to, sure. But, not sure what I could tell you, honestly. Thank you. Hopefully I can have the line art done tonight, and then I can have the rest of it done by tomorrow. I mean, it's really, like, the coloring part isn't really that long, it's just, you know, there's always those little small details. But I'm trying not to, like, be super detail crazy. Or, like, minute, like, you know, stuff where it's like, oh, this little thing wasn't colored in and all that. I'm trying not to, like, harp on it too often. Because ultimately I know most of the audience is not even going to see that stuff. So I shouldn't be stressing out over something that nobody's going to notice. And even if they do notice, it's like such a minor thing that it's not even worth it. Because before, I used to like zoom in like super far to like someone's eye, well maybe not that close, but like super close to someone's eyes and be like, okay, I want to make sure I get all this little detail here, make sure you get the lines and stuff like that to like that. Like I remember when I used to do that. So like this, and then do all that right here. Or I used to make sure that the eyes had the little shine thing right there. Sometimes a little extra one here, or it would be over here. Like I do that for the rendered stuff, but because it's a lot easier the way I do it now. But back then I was like being really meticulous about that shit. And I was like, okay. Went a lot, really overboard back then. Still do it to a degree, but it's not as not to the range that I used to. Okay, now the question is her tits going to be in that position, or am I gonna move them because her arms are not up? Probably gonna move them, so I might as well just erase this whole little bit. And just redraw her chest. And then obviously take the spoon out of her mouth since she's not eating anymore. Fix her mouth just a little bit. He says just a little bit, erases entire mouth. I'm gonna have to redo the circle anyways. Yeah, maybe after the stream I'll take a small break and play like Yu-Gi-Oh or something. Still debating on if I'll do like a gaming stream. Because it just feels like if I do, I'm just wasting time. Like I could just be using that time to draw. But we'll see. I don't know. Depends on my mood whenever I decide to do it. Oh yeah, that'd be horrible if I made a character who's just like in sheer pain, but they have no mouth. And yet, that's not past something I would do. I would definitely do something like that for probably like a random enemy character. I would just call them the Pain. They just walk around with like needles and whatever else wrapped around them, but they have no mouths and they're just having muffled yells. Or even worse, if they couldn't make any noise, they would just be like in twitching agony. Yeah, and I know the Pain from Metal Gear. Metal Gear had a lot of fun enemies. I love the way you could like manipulate how to fight them, or how they manipulated you based on games you've played or like your controller and shit like that. It's like, I've seen that you've played Super Smash Brothers Melee. You're like, oh well, shit. Fucking Psycho Mantis. And then Gray Fox was cool. Was Gray Fox still in Ultimate? I don't remember if he was still in there. Like, I don't see why he wouldn't be, but who knows. It's possible they could have removed him, but I don't remember. I want to say he was still in there. What was the old guy from 3? What was his name? Was it like... I mean, we could just look it up. Let me see. Metal Gear 3 Old Man. The End. No, the end was... Yeah, was it the end? Yeah, the end, the Ancient Sniper. There we go. Yeah, it was the end. And then he's the one that you could let die of old age if you wanted to. Or you could, like, fight him yourself. And all you... There's, like ways you could sneak up behind him to kill him. But yeah, he was the one where if you... I think you had to, like, let your time go by like, a week. And then you would find his body. Yeah, all you have to do is just change the clock on your system, and that would kill him, or let him die of old age. And then there was another boss. I forget his name, but I think you fight him right after the end. But if you went through the whole game, because basically his mechanic was for every enemy you've killed in the game, he would summon that many enemies against you. And if you went through the game as a pacifist and didn't kill anybody, then when you fight the boss, all you're doing is just walking behind him, and nothing's happening, and he's just like monologuing or whatever. And then I think at the end of the walk, that's when you can kill him. So the difficulty of that boss is solely based off of how many enemies you've intentionally killed. Alright, I'm gonna call it for the night. Thank you everybody for coming. Yeah, I will post the other page shortly after I'm done with the stream. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep working on stuff, and once this page is done, I'm gonna work on other stuff. And once I'm done with those, I'll go back to working on more comic pages. And yeah, I'll stream again at the same time. That's pretty much it, really. I'll see you guys next time, alright? You guys have a good day, night, whatever time zone you're in, alright? Take care. Bye-bye.